Good morning. Welcome to all the elected officials who are here. I always appreciate having the county executive here. Kathe, thank you. Congressman Garrett, Senator Cardinale, and others, thank you so much for being here this morning. And obviously, I'm happy to be here with my education commissioner, Commissioner Cerf. I had the opportunity to talk with the students sitting behind me about the hurricane and its aftermath and how they're coping. They seem to be doing just fine. And I think part of the reason they're doing just fine is because they're back in school. Getting kids back to school is an important element of our return to normalcy in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. Districts across the state are working to get our schools back online. These schools combined, they now have power in both schools, but they combined in helping get kids back in school. And none of that's easy, but we want schools to be able to try to do everything they can to be creative to get children back in school. That's good for children, to see their friends, to get back to some normalcy, and it's also good for parents to get the kids out of the house and get them back to some sense of normalcy as well. Preliminary reports in from the districts are showing that about 60% of the schools in the state are open or ready to open, and this number is only going to grow. However, we're aware of the difficult circumstances many communities face and fully understand that many districts are in need of additional time to get their schools back online. For instance, schools in Ocean County and Monmouth County are still without power or are functioning as shelters for people who have lost their homes in those communities. Even in those districts, we know that school communities are pulling together, chipping in. I was in Keensburg yesterday at their middle school. That was a shelter that was set up in the middle school by the citizens. Government didn't do anything to set up that shelter. That was the principal of that school calling parents from that school and saying, let's all gather here. They have a restaurant owner there who lost his restaurant in the storm, but has been there 18 hours a day cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the displaced families. That's the kind of thing that makes people feel great about our state and our people, that even people who have been, enormously affected by the storm are finding their way to contribute to their community. In Toms River, several schools became ad hoc centers for donations in their communities. School staff and students and other community members have been voluntarily manning these sites and have been busy sorting the items that fill the gymnasium. And then when people come in need for clothing or food or other items, they've got them sorted and ready to go, all on a volunteer basis, all without, a lick of help from government. That's really encouraging because government is trying to spend its time dealing with the people who have been most severely affected and making sure that they're kept safe and warm. This is all while other school staff has been emailing and calling their students and families to check in and to provide guidance on how to keep the kids on track and have them not go completely soft during the week or 10 days off that came unexpectedly. Bergen County has some great examples of creative solutions that have been used to get students back in the classroom. In Moonachie, we've seen an amazing partnership where, starting tomorrow, Moonachie will be sending its nearly 300 students to Woodridge, not Woodbridge. That's in Middlesex County. Right here in Westwood, Dr. Zoller, the superintendent, and his team arranged for students from two of the elementary schools to share space with other schools in the districts so students didn't lose any instructional time, at least any additional instructional time, and that's really great. This is exactly what we're seeing all over the state. New Jerseyans, communities, and neighbors all coming together. We've really seen the strength of New Jersey come through in the past week, and that's been incredibly uplifting. Keep talking about returning to normalcy. Progress in our return to normalcy is defined by power being back on, your ability to put gas in your car, your children back at school, your roads being clear, and having access to clean water in your home and at your business. I'm here today because we're seeing kids go back to school, and I want to continue to encourage districts to use the example we're seeing here today, to be creative, to share services and space, and work together to get children back in the classroom. Now, I know that in Bergen County, outside Monmouth and Ocean, it was one of the counties that had the least amount of schools open. I want to see that get up. Now, I know that some people were going to be off today anyway, so people decided not to open yesterday and then just be off today. Okay, but I want to see something change tomorrow. We need to get kids back in school and get them back to normal. So we need to make progress in that area in all the counties. And I'm up here in Bergen to show you one of the examples of the way it can be done the right way and hope to shine that as an example for the rest of the schools here in Bergen and the northern part of the state to get them back to work as well. It's really important for our children and their families. Let's talk about the pillars of return to normalcy and give you an update. Power. As of 8 o'clock this morning, we are down to 566,000 customers in New Jersey without power. That is down from our peak of 2.76 million. So 2.1 million families and businesses have been returned to power in the 6 days that they've been able to work. Remember, the power companies didn't get a chance to get back to work on this until late in the afternoon on Tuesday afternoon, when the winds finally died down enough in the aftermath of the storm that they could start to put men and women up in bucket trucks safely. Now, I keep saying this because I know it's the truth. The fact that I have 2.1 million people with power back doesn't mean a damn to you if you don't have your power back. You're happy for your neighbor, but you're not happy until your lights go on, until your heat goes on, and I recognize that. So twice a day I'm on the phone with the CEOs of the utility companies, urging and pushing them. We've gotten resources from all over the country. We have 11,000 utility workers on the ground. When I got my power back finally last night at about 6 o'clock last night in Morris County, and when I left there this morning, there were 2 big utility trucks from Pennsylvania on our street. In another part of town near where I voted, I saw a power truck from Illinois. Yesterday, when I was traveling around in Monmouth County, I saw power trucks from Alabama. Literally from all over the country, people have sent their resources to New Jersey at my request, and over 11,000 utility workers are on the ground and working every hour, every daylight hour that we have to be able to put wires back up. As of today, Atlantic City Electric has 100% of its customers back with power in South Jersey. PSE&G has 87% of its customers back with power. JCP&L is back with about 80% of its customers back to power, and Orange and Rockland has 84% of its customers back to power. I was on the call with them this morning, told them I wanted to see that 566,000 number come down to close to 250,000 by the end of the day today, if we could. That's the goal. We'll see how we do. But that will really make a big difference in the lives of people around the state, more than anything else. Gasoline. We're seeing positive results from our odd-even system. I was reluctant to go to the odd-even system until I was convinced that we had to. We went to it, and I will tell you that I think for the most part, it has significantly diminished lines across the state, if not eliminated them. Also, I appointed Michelle Brown, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Economic Development Authority, to be the person in charge of fuel across the state during the crisis. Michelle's done an outstanding job, and the National Guard continues to operate 3 fuel distribution sites in Egg Harbor Township, Freehold, and West Orange to provide fuel for first responders and vehicles supporting critical infrastructure like these trucks that are from all over the country. So they go to one of these armories and they get fueled up. Now, we had 17 National Guard trucks traveling the state yesterday. Today, they're in Bergen County refueling gas stations that don't have gas. So we've been to Hudson County now. We've been to Monmouth County yesterday. Today, we're to Bergen County, where we'll be dropping anywhere from 80 to 100,000 gallons of fuel at gas stations that have power but don't have fuel, in order to open more gas stations up and cut down more on the lines. National Guard continues to do this in assistance with the Department of Defense's Logistic Agency and FEMA, with a broader fuel distribution operation coming in the coming days, as well as we add more and more National Guard trucks. One of the companies that has been extraordinary in this has been the Hess Oil Company. Not only they have 74 stations around the state. 71 of the 74 were open from the beginning of the crisis forward, but also Hess has been distributing gasoline to their competitors, and Hess is now distributing gasoline directly to the National Guard in order to give to these other gas stations, no matter what company they're affiliated with, in an attempt to just get more people getting fueled up in New Jersey and less lines. And lastly, to the people who are listening today, we do not have a fuel shortage in New Jersey, so you should not panic. Don't run at 6 o'clock in the morning to get in line at the gas station because you're afraid they're going to run out of gas. We're not running out of gas. In fact, now the fuel is up to all of our the power is up to all of our refineries and to our pipelines. So the distribution network is back up and running on the private sector side as well. So that'll allow us to taper off our public sector involvement over the course of the next week and be able to get back to normal. So I think we're doing well on the fuel side after a couple of hiccups in the beginning. On roads, we've opened up all state roads. We started off with over 560 state roads closed on Tuesday morning. All state roads are now opened, and we're now assisting in the clearing of county roads and local roads using state DOT assets. And all the county OEMs have to do is call DOT and ask for the help, and we will send help out if there are particularly difficult roads for you to get cleared. Majority of DOT's state resources right now are focused on Route 35 in Ocean County. It is like a war zone down there. The road has been washed away. Route 35 in Maniloking has been washed away. The ocean is flowing into the bay on Route 35. It looked to me like more than 50% in the homes in Maniloking have been destroyed, completely destroyed. We're in the process right now of building a road to connect Route 35 together again so that we can get emergency vehicles and construction vehicles onto the southern end of the island from Maniloking down to Island Beach State Park to begin to clear away the damage and debris from down there. Yesterday we had over 100 construction trucks on site there, literally loading up houses. A county OEM in Ocean County in the last couple of days have plucked 2 homes out of Barnegat Bay. They're just sitting in the middle of the bay, washed off of their foundations. We've turned off all of the natural gas to those barrier islands, both Long Beach Island and on the island from Point Pleasant Beach to Island Beach State Park, because so many of the homes have been knocked off of their foundations and the pipes burst that fires were starting all over Maniloking, and we lost over 20 homes in Maniloking to fires that we could not fight because we didn't have water. So a lot of challenges that you probably never think about going into this stuff, but we're building Route 35 back, and that will be helpful for the rebuilding process at the Jersey Shore. I know yesterday was a struggle for a lot of commuters. I hear you. We put more buses on today. We're getting 500 buses from the federal government to supplement our New Jersey transit fleet. And the emergency plan, bus plan, implemented and establishes park and ride locations across northern and central New Jersey. Go on the NJ Transit website. We've added a lot of park and ride spots to be able to get in by bus. Holland Tunnel's only allowing buses through it still. We're trying to make sure we get in there. We've also added free ferry service from Liberty State Park. So get yourself to Liberty State Park. You don't have to pay for the ferry if you want to go to Lower Manhattan. We still have a major problem with trains into New York City. We did about 13 trains into New York City yesterday. Normally, we do 63. The reason for that is that Amtrak has not completely powered up those tracks because of their own compromised infrastructure. And until they put more power on it, you can't put more trains on it. Jim Simpson said this the other day at our cabinet meeting. If any of you had Lionel trains growing up, if you remember you put too many trains on the track, they would go slower. That's exactly it. That's what's happening going into New York City. We can't put too many trains on the track. They won't move because the power is not fully up. So it's another, Amtrak and the train system is another thing that Michelle Brown is partnering with Jim Simpson on, and she was on the phone last night with the White House, and they've said that restoring power to that Amtrak power system is now their #1 priority in the region. So we're hoping we'll see some changes there. Clean water, we've made significant progress in making our drinking water clean. We just have 4 communities on boil water advisory and 6 wastewater treatment plants with various levels of operational challenges. Those are mostly related to power, with the exception of the PVSC, which was severely compromised by the storm and flooded. We brought in pumps and experts from New Orleans who went through Katrina. They've now pumped out the entirety of PVSC. We're now examining the electrical and mechanical compromises to the system because of the salt water in the system. And we're hoping to get PVSC up and running as quickly as possible. Customers won't see much of a difference, but we're not able to treat the sewage as quickly and as completely on generator power as we would on full power. So, FEMA. I'm going to say it again, 1-800-621-FEMA. 1-800-621-FEMA, 1-800-621-FEMA. Please call FEMA and get registered, okay? You can't get assistance until you get registered. Now, also, I want to be clear to some of the people at the shore. FEMA does not cover second homes. FEMA only covers your primary residence. So, if you own a home at the shore that is your vacation residence, a second residence, FEMA is not going to be a primary coverage for you. If it's your primary residence, they do help you, but if it's not, they don't. So I've heard some things anecdotally from the shore, people being upset that they weren't covered by FEMA, but FEMA does not cover second homes. You have to go to your insurance company as the primary insurer there. But that shouldn't discourage people. You can still get other types of assistance from FEMA if you've been displaced from your primary residence. Rental assistance has gone out in the millions of dollars so far. In addition, we have disaster unemployment assistance for those people who have become unemployed due to the storm. All you have to do is go on the internet to njuifile.net. I heard from Labor Commissioner Hal Wirtz yesterday that unemployment insurance claims are up by about 300% since the storm went, all related to disaster assistance for the storm. So we're processing those as quickly as we can and getting the money out to folks as quickly as we can as well. We have FEMA mobile and permanent sites all across the state in the impacted counties. All 21 counties have now been declared a major disaster by the President of the United States. We have centers open in Hudson, and Bergen, and Monmouth, Middlesex, Ocean, and Cape May. They're open from 8 to 8, Monday to Sunday. So they're there for you if you need them. The First Lady has started a Hurricane Sandy, New Jersey Relief Fund to help for those families in the gap between what's going to be covered by insurance or FEMA and what their real costs are. SandyNJReliefFund.org. SandyNJReliefFund.org. She's already raised millions of dollars in that account, and she's had a big meeting in New York this morning trying to raise more. She's pretty good at it. So we'll see how she does, and we're going to make it a bipartisan affair and have folks on both sides of the aisle helping us with raising money to help provide relief for some of the families who need it most. Lastly, on Election Day, we have 3,000 polling sites across New Jersey. Less than 100 of them were compromised and had to be moved by the storm. That's a great, great testimony to the Lieutenant Governor and her efforts as Secretary of State, to the county clerks across the state, and to the municipal and county OEMs who have helped to get power back on with the utilities to our voting sites. I voted in my normal place this morning. The electricity was on. If you don't know where to vote, call your town hall and ask them where you vote. If for some reason you don't want to do that, you can text to the address 877-877, and the message should be where, question mark. They will come back to you and ask you for your address. You text your address in, and then they will text back to you with what your polling site is. We've had very few instances so far this morning of problems. A couple of problems with the texting software. They seem to have been cleared up. And the only complaints I've heard about voting so far is maybe a lack of voting machines in Hoboken. I spoke to the Lieutenant Governor this morning when I got that report, and the Department of State is on that and working with county officials to get more voting machines to the site where they're voting in Hoboken. Other than that, it's so far, at least by what I've heard this morning, it sounds pretty normal. So I'd encourage everybody to get out there and vote. I know you got a lot of things on your plate right now in your life, but it's a national election. It's important to vote, important to have your voice be heard, important for New Jersey's voice to be heard in the national election and in all of our state and local elections. So please make sure you get out and vote today. No reason not to. And even today, you can go to county clerk's offices and vote in person if for some reason you're confused about where to go. So there's a lot of different options for you. Let's make sure everybody gets out and vote. I voted. No reason anybody else should vote. So I'm pretty busy. So everybody else should find some time to vote today, too.